Welcome to the 2024 legislative session, which started on January 8th and is scheduled to wrap up on March 7th. During this short 60-day session, I will keep updating you on the many issues we are facing in Washington. Public safety continues to be a major concern, including law enforcement's inability to pursue criminals or suspected criminals. The legislature passed House Bill 1054 in 2021, which requires police to have probable cause instead of reasonable suspicion to pursue. I voted against this bill. Since then, criminals have felt emboldened and law enforcement has felt abandoned. Last year, the legislature passed Senate Bill 5352, which restored the standard of reasonable suspicion, but only in a handful of limited circumstances for most of serious crimes. This year, more than 430,000 Washingtonians signed Initiative 2113, which would restore vehicular pursuit. Last week, House Republicans made a motion on the floor for Initiative 2113 to receive a prompt public hearing in committee. Unfortunately, House Democrats unanimously voted it down. Here's what could happen moving forward. 1. The legislature may adopt the initiative as proposed and it becomes law without a vote of the people. 2. The legislature may reject or refuse to act on the proposed initiative, and Initiative 2113 must be placed on the ballot at the next general election. Or 3, the legislature may propose a different measure dealing with the same subject, and both measures must be placed on the next general election ballot. Now let's turn our attention to another initiative the Secretary of State has certified. Initiative 2117 would repeal the 2-year-old Climate Commitment Act, which imposes annual limits on greenhouse gas emissions for major emitters, such as oil refineries and utilities, and requires them to buy allowances at state auctions for each metric ton of their pollution. Last year, the state raised $1.8 billion from those allowance auctions. Despite its good intentions, the policy won't have a significant impact on climate change. However, it is driving fuel, food, and energy prices higher as companies pass the new expenses onto consumers. Just as we did for Initiative 2113, House Republicans made a motion on the floor for Initiative 2117 to receive a prompt public hearing in committee. But again, House Democrats unanimously voted it down. Although the legislature could still act on Initiative 2117, the most likely outcome is that the initiative ends up on the November ballot, where voters will have the final say. Keep checking my website and reading my email updates for the latest on these and other important issues. Lastly, I want to tell you about one of my many bipartisan bills I am running this session. House Bill 2008 would create a legislative task force to analyze housing cost drivers. In addition to members of the legislature, this task force would consist of numerous stakeholders throughout the housing industry. The goal of the task force would be to get to the root of the problem by determining what factors are truly driving housing costs in Washington. We need to better understand the causes behind this issue before we really can resolve them. The task force would research, analyze, and determine the primary cost drivers for housing in Washington state, such as rising property taxes, the cost to access utilities, workforce scarcity, increasing costs of supplies, and expensive regulations. HB 2008 has already been voted out of the Housing Committee. It is now waiting to be heard in the Appropriations Committee. There is much work to be done over the next 2 months, and I hope you'll continue reaching out to me to share your input. I'm State Representative Mark Klicker. Thank you for allowing me to serve you in Olympia. It's an honor to represent the 16th Legislative District.